Hello and welcome to Mabinda TV. So for now, do you know that at one time Diamond Platinums and Wizkid really came to Kenya in order to benchmark? I know it seems a long time ago, but in the early 2000s, the Kenyan music was so far ahead. So that's why that is why then Diamond Platinums and Wizkid came over to Kenya, and I think basically we need to ask ourselves where did we go wrong in Kenyan music. So basically, right now, I think Kenyan music is underperforming. Maybe we need to borrow a leaf from Tanzania, from Nigeria. They have their own sounds. You have Tanzania Bongo, then you have that is in Nigeria, you have Afrobeats, then in South Africa, you have Piano. Look at South Africa, they have exported Tyler. Look at Nigeria, Davido, Burna Boy, Wizkid, all fill up stadiums wherever they go. Look at Kenya, we are barely filling up stadiums when we go outside. And I think basically who should be blamed for the underperformance of Kenyan music? Of course, we have them thriving, but then they are not international. When Kenyan musicians go abroad, they are not international, and that is why then music underperforms. So look at Kenyan music is not going global. We are performing in digibus, and I think I look at the Ministry of Creative Arts. What he is doing, artists are on their own for the most part. Look at Calligraph Jones. He shared a screenshot of what he had earned, the royalties he had earned from MCSK. It was only, I think, 3,000 shillings per month. So our artists are not getting a fair deal for the money. And I think for the Kenyan music industry, look at Maina Kageni. Maina Kageni basically says that for him to play a Kenyan song, he has to remove one of the 30 songs that he usually plays in the morning. And of course, there is someone that gives music hype is Maina Kageni. So he says that basically for him to play Kenyan music, he has to remove one of the 30 songs. And of course, some say Kenyan music is not good enough. As they say, Tanzanians have very good lyrics. I don't deny, yes, but don't tell me that Americans have decent songs. That's why maybe the likes of Drake are performing, or maybe Travis Scott. I just think even Rihanna and Beyonce, they perform nudity when they are nude. So basically, our music, it is just people not taking it seriously. And of course, the likes of Eddie Butita have joined the Ruto government in order to try and bring up Kenyan music. But I think, short from that, I just think the industry needs to be lined up. Right now, we need our musicians to be living like basically having swimming pools in their compounds. They should be real star celebrities. That there is nothing as bad as being famous and broke, and that's what most Kenyan musicians are. They are broke, and that is why when we say then we should perfect so that then our musicians can be millionaires. We need our musicians to all be multi-millionaires. And I think even for the Ruto government, they don't know that basically they can anchor the economy of Kenya based on the creative arts. Look at Hollywood. Basically, it employs millions of people. Look at Hollywood. And I think for Kenya, this can be a real anchor. So we don't need someone to be sent to the Ministry of Sports and the creative arts. We don't need someone that cannot be placed in. We don't need someone that cannot be placed in a Ministry of Youth Affairs and creative economy. We don't need them to be able to maybe to see it as a lesser ministry. That ministry, what is it doing to align Kenyan music so that it reaches best standards? Look at realities. We don't even have studios in. We don't have studios. There should have been production houses in every county. There should have been a studio in every county. Basically, to be able to, so that when you want to record music, I think it is Sauti Sol who said in Sweden an artist could live over voice over of an advert, not even a song, a voice over of an advert. And that's why then there needs to be an urge to make Kenyan music better. And I think if Kenyan music is made better, the kind of jobs that will be created, look at songwriters, look at songwriters, they will be employed. Look at instrumentalists, look at marketers that will go on. And I think basically that's why we need music that just we need Kenyan music to go global. And of course, music is universal. So don't tell me that Kenyans can't write good music in English. That's why they cannot be global. And I think for the likes of Calligraph Jones, for the likes of Nyashinsky, for the likes of Willie Paul, then this is the time to make our music global, to make the Kenyan music global. And I think if a lot of stations, I think it is only an energy plays Kenyan music the whole of Friday. I think there is also another Kenyan station that plays music 24/7. Or maybe look at what Chris Kirwa had proposed. So Chris Kirwa says that basically why don't artists unite and form their own radio stations, so that then they will play 100% Kenyan music and then keep their royalties for that. I think the new breed, of course, now we are in Abanton. We moved from Gengeton to Abanton, and I think that needs to be scaled so that at least Kenyan musicians can get a fair value for money. So that's it. Then I will move over to in ideas. In ideas, I'm looking at should a degree be a requirement for getting a job? In ideas, I'm asking, should a degree be a requirement for getting a job? Should you have a degree in order to have a job? I just think the death of technical institutions in Kenya was not good, or in Africa generally. The death of technical institutions. Basically, we need such skills as plumbing, such skills as wiring. So I think it was a disservice when the former technical colleges were all converted into universities. So basically, we need the skills-based hiring. I think it was the former Secretary of State of America, Condoleezza Rice, who said that basically, that is employers should make it not make it mandatory to have a degree. And I think in some fields such as software engineering, is how much are you able to code. You need to show your practical skills. And I think you heard the other day during the job evaluation of, I think, people going to Dubai and Saudi Arabia. I think they are not testing your papers. You are being given a skill, maybe to build a good wall of a house, maybe to fix a plumbing problem, or maybe to fix a wiring problem. And that's why I say skills-based hiring maybe is the future, but we need to create the jobs. Do we have skills? And maybe that's what CBC needs to address. Do we need have the skills necessary to perform the job? So do you think a degree is necessary in order to do a job? Do you think a degree is necessary for all the types of jobs? I don't think. Why should you have a requirement for a degree to be a receptionist or a secretary? Do you really need a degree? And I think when we make our degrees to be skills based, that's how we are going to improve. And then in Africa perspective, that is in Africa perspective, I'm asking, everyone says the 21st century will be the Asian century. That is, everyone says that the 21st century will be the Asian century, but can it be the African century? For far too long, we are kicking the can of development down the road. We are basically kicking the can of development down the road. Can it be the African century? That is the 21st century. Can it be the African century? First, let's fix our leadership. Our leadership is in tatters. Look at our President Ruto going on all trips abroad. Look at Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni wants to be a dictator that dies in office. Look at Paul Biya of Cameroon. He's going for a 7th term. Basically, he is 92 years. He's already ruled the country for 42 years, once another 7. Before that, he was Prime Minister for another for 7 years. So basically, do these presidents want to die in office? Do they have what it takes to be able to make Africa claim the 21st century? So remember that in the 1960s, we were at the same level of development as the so-called Asian tigers. So what happened? How come the Asian tigers grew many times over and became first world developed countries? Look at Singapore. It's a financial center of the world right now. We were at the same level. In fact, what is rumored is that they came to borrow our manifesto so that they could go and develop Singapore. But right now, then those countries basically have passed Kenya, passed Africa, so much more. So basically, when at independence in the 1960s, it was thought we would develop fast because Africa has the necessary raw materials. I just think we need to fix leadership and then eliminate corruption. Africa has lost at least $1 trillion to corruption since independence. That's just imagine $1 trillion. Africa has lost $1 trillion to corruption since independence. And when you account for corruption outflows from Africa, then Africa is a net donor to the world. It is not a net recipient in aid. That's why corruption costs Africa so much more. So I think we need to fix our leadership. Remember, in Japan, the corrupt commit suicide because of the shame their core society. In China, the corrupt are shot by firing squad in Europe and America. The corrupt resign as they wait for the long arm of the law to catch up with them. And then, of course, in Africa, the corrupt are celebrated and elected back to office. And then finally, in American politics, will Donald Trump bring an age of dictatorship to America? Remember, America has always advocated that it is a land as the leader of the free world. That's what America says. But then you have a convicted felon in Donald Trump being elected to office. Of course, Africa does not benefit whether it is a Democrat or a Republican in office. Of course, Africa is a footnote in the foreign policy of America. We are barely scratched. Look at President Biden. He came here only when he was about to leave office. So basically, I just think that Africa is a footnote in the foreign policy of the United States. But still, will Donald Trump be a dictator? A lot of African dictators admire him because he doesn't come with a lot of strings attached. He does not look aspirational. So basically, and in some ways, he could be a dictator. Trump says he admires dictators like Vladimir Putin of Russia, maybe even Kim Jong-un of North Korea. So basically, I think this will be an age of dictatorship. Maybe the constitutional guardrails that keep a president in office will no longer be there. And then finally, Eric Latiff. What do you think about Eric Latiff quitting Spice FM? What do you think about Eric Latiff quitting Spice FM? The Standard Group, I think, is going in, is sinking. I think mainstream media is sinking. So basically, mainstream media is sinking, and I think maybe the future is in podcast. Maybe the future is in podcast. The future is in maybe the future is in maybe podcasting, YouTube channels, and maybe the audience has splintered. Do the Gen Zs even to listen to radio at all? Do they watch news? Maybe they have gone to TikTok, they have gone to Facebook, they have gone to X, and maybe the future is for radio to incorporate, or maybe as I had said earlier, that we need podcasting to be able, we need a radio to be talk show, because you can't stream music, but then that's just the way it is. You can't stream music, but then if it turns to be commentating, 24-hour commentating, then I think it is in good sense. So Eric Latiff, I think, took over from where Caroline Toko left. He is the future of urban radio, and no wonder Nation FM snatched him. So basically, Nation FM snatched Eric Latiff, and I think he will forever. He will forever be. That is, Eric Latiff will forever be. I think the future of urban music, urban radio, which I think is undergoing. Rural radio, I think, is still doing well. A lot of rural folks don't have the money for internet bundles, but I think urban radio, the future is in podcasting and such like things. So you let me know on what you think about these 5 stories. Number one, that is Diamond Platnumz and Wizkid came to benchmark in Kenya. How do we improve a lot of the Kenyan musicians? Then is a degree really important for so many jobs? Do you think a degree is important for so many jobs? And then in Africa perspectives, I'm asking, can Africa, everyone claims the 21st century will be the Asian century, but can it be the African century? Then in the Making America, will Donald Trump bring an edge of dictatorship to America, and in still as a media scene in Kenya. Why did Eric Latiff quit Spice FM? So that's it for now. Bye for now.